Good evening, Washington Courthouse in Quail Run.
Well, there's Cotter's Point too.
Oh, my.
It is 7:30 p.m. May 10th, 2023, time for our first regular meeting of this month. At this time, I will do the invocation. Mr. Chrisman has the pledge. If you're able, if you can stand. Dear God, we thank you for another beautiful day in our community. We thank you, Lord, for the opportunity to come this evening and to make decisions that will serve the biggest part of our community. God, we know that it's never easy, but we ask that you give us the wisdom and the heart and the mind to make best decisions. God, we again thank you for this beautiful day. We thank you for the community and all that serve it. We pray all these things in the name of your Son. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Roll call, please, Kelly.
Okay. Johnson,
Here.
Schultz,
Here.
Blair,
Here.
Chrisman,
Here.
Hawk,
Here.
Hernandez. Here. Lynch.
Here. We have the minutes from April 26, 2023. Did anybody see any changes, things we got wrong that need to be altered?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from the regular meeting on 4/26.
A second.
Roll call.
Johnson,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Chrisman,
Yes.
Hawk,
Yes.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes. Any communication, Mr. Denon?
None.
Reports of council committees. I believe we have a couple. First would be Economic Strategies and Cooperation meeting, and that would be Kendra, you're up.
Thanks. The Economic Strategies and Cooperation Committee met in the City Council chambers of 105 North Main Street on Wednesday, April 26th at 5 p.m. I presided, and those in attendance were Mr. Steve Schultz, council member, Mr. Jim Chrisman, council member, Mr. Dale Lynch, council chairperson, Mrs. Chelsea Baker, economic development director, Mr. Mark Pitstick, city attorney, and Mr. Joseph Denon, city manager. Number one, the committee reviewed progress with the industrial development. Number two, the committee noted the status of various developmental projects within the community and downtown area. The administration advised the committee of the upcoming ribbon cutting for Plastilini to be held on June 7th at 11 a.m. Number three, the committee benefited from a review regarding downtown events. Number four, the committee reviewed progress with commercial development. The committee noted interest in the area of State Route 753 and State Route 35. Number five, the administration noted property annexations were progressing and discussions will begin on future land acquisitions. Number six, the committee noted that new business plaques were presented to Elevate, Yoga Room, and Unleashed. Number seven, the committee discussed a utility matter related to the industrial development. Number eight, the committee benefited from a review of downtown events. The committee noted the success of the first cupcake walk that was held on April 15th. Number 10, the committee benefited from a review of trail connections. Number 11, the administration advised the committee that Horizons project should be completed within the next month. Respectfully submitted, myself, chairperson, and Ms. Kelly Ford, recording secretary.
Thank you, Kendra. Does anybody have any questions or comments, or? If not, does somebody want to make a motion to accept those minutes?
I'll make the motion that we accept the minutes as read.
Second.
Roll call.
Johnson,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Chrisman,
Yes.
Hawk,
Yes.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes. Next, we have Finance and Personnel, and that's Mr. Blair. You're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Finance and Personnel meeting of April the 26th, 2023. The Finance and Personnel Committee met in the City Council chambers of 105 North Main Street on Wednesday, April 26, 2023 at 6 p.m. Mr. Jim Blair presided, and those in attendance were Mr. Jim Chrisman, council member, Mr. Steve Schultz, council member, Mr. Ted Hawk, council member, Ms. Kendra Hernandez, council member, Mr. Dale Lynch, council chairperson, Mrs. Christina Collins, finance director, Mr. Joseph Denon, city manager, Mr. Mark Pitstick, city attorney, and Mr. Sean Remington, representing the Triangle Trail Committee. First, the committee benefited from a report of the statement of cash for the month ending on March 31st, 2023. Mrs. Collins noted that the city income tax department had processed over 4,000 returns of that date. Number two, the committee benefited from a report on the investments of the City of Washington Courthouse. Third, Mrs. Collins advised the committee that reconciliation with local government services was progressing. Fourth, the administration advised the committee that work to complete the Ohio checkbook concept was progressing. Number five, the committee noted that the administration was exploring the option of a staff accountant. The committee noted that more thought on the question was required. Number six, the committee benefited from a report on personnel issues given by Mr. Denon. The administration advised the committee that Patrolman Copus was promoted to the Patrolman 2 position. Number seven, the administration advised the committee of the potential land transfer of property in the Milledgeville area. The committee recommended proceeding with the transfer of property to the Park District. Number eight, the administration noted that Dee West had been hired for the administrative secretary position at the fire department. And last, the committee benefited from a general report of the Human Resource Department. Respectfully submitted, yours truly, and Mrs. Kelly Ford was the recording secretary.
Thanks, Jim. Any discussion, questions? Not, do we have a motion to accept?
I'll make a motion to accept the Finance and Personnel meeting from April 26th.
I'll second that.
Roll call.
Johnson.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Blair.
Yes.
Chrisman.
Yes.
Hawk.
Yes.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes. Reports of our city officials, Mr. Denon.
Thank you. Going to talk about some of the activities with the land bank. We've been making nice progress there. Now, this was put together on the 28th, so some of these that note that aren't completed have progressed a little bit further. The demolition at site 722 and 633 Church Street went well, and both buildings have been fully demolished and debris removed, backfilled, topsoil placed, seeded, and covered with straw. Sewer pipes are stubbed up and clearly marked. The large tree at 633 Church Street appeared to represent an unsafe condition and required removal. Although it wasn't covered by the grant, we were able to get that done for $500, and given the safety issue there, we went ahead and did that. Demolition has been completed at 828 South Main Street property, and most of the debris have been removed from both the main building and two sheds. Some limited debris cleanup and final restoration remains to be performed. Demolitions also started at 304 South North Street, with the main house being demolished and most debris removed. Demolition of the garage had to wait as a pole nearby required calling before digging, and we are still waiting to hear back. During the demolition of the house, 3 sections of transite or asbestos pipe were found in the northwest fireplace, which were hidden from view during the asbestos survey. The pipes were removed and bagged and disposed of in the proper way. Final restoration remains to be performed at 828 South Main Street and 304 South North Street. With the county, I want to thank the county for their cooperation. We've been able to accomplish a great deal of good with the land bank in terms of getting rid of problem properties. And the nice thing about that, and it's kind of, I specifically picked this to talk about tonight, the more that we can look at the existingly built environment and the more decent quality building lots that you can create with that, the less pressure you exude on other areas. Probably reasonably, we can come up with 20 additional decent building lots in town that Land Bank can take through the process and to return to the market in their current state of limbo. Which that is, it's good for the community, it's good for the neighborhoods that they're in, and also that infrastructure there already exists. You don't have to build a road, you don't have to put in new sewer, you don't have to put in water. But along with that, we've engaged a land planning firm to take a look at some potential annexations for the city, in particular one beyond in the Home Depot area, to think about how you can logically plan that out over the long term. So that is a way to address the housing need that you have, because earlier we talked about that rental vacancy in Washington Courthouse is extraordinarily tight. And you need to develop, in particular, the Middle Road Market House. That market has been neglected for a while, and the private industry, with a little bit of help, encouragement, and vision from us, needs to step up to the plate and move along. We'll need a joint resolution for Old Chillicothe Road paving for a portion of that road that's inside the City of Washington Courthouse. That's the county's project, but part of the road's in town. Our portion of that's $25,720. So for next time, you'll have a joint resolution that says that is okay so to do. In that case, the county has borne the full cost of the engineering of the project and planning of it, and we are simply paying for our portion of the actual asphalt. Would like to thank the organizers of the National Day of Prayer. I thought that they did a lovely job. Would also like to thank the tree committee and the judges at the courthouse for allowing us to use the courthouse lawn for Arbor Day. That was very nice and made a nice improvement there. And this crowd is not an issue. For a while you'll hear me talk about this till you're sick of hearing about it. Folks, you need to mow your grass. It's wonderful exercise, gets you outside, your neighbors love you when you do that. You don't get the little nasty yellow notice from the city, and you don't get socked for $250 when you mow your grass. The other thing that goes along with that, you need to do this before you mow the grass. You need to go pick up your trash. And trash needs to go inside a trash receptacle, preferably one that belongs to you and not somebody else. Because we talked about earlier that occasionally, when you do that, we do charge people for theft of services when they think of, oh, there's this nice dumpster there, and I can just haul my trash down there. No, you can't. It needs to go in a covered container, and you need to have somebody, or yourself if you want to, if you're industrious, haul it away to the dump once a week. That would make things in life a whole lot easier, and it'd be a whole lot less work for Mr. Pitstick, who goes through assessments ad nauseum. Life would be a better place. That's my show for this evening.
Any questions for Mr. Dennis? Thank you, sir. Our Director of Finance is not present, but our City Attorney is. Anything, Mr. Pitstick?
Mr. Chairman, I have no report.
Okay. We are ready for local residents and taxpayers. I'm pretty sure what you want to talk about. I'll just mention a couple things up front. There was a planning commission meeting last week, I guess. Mm-hmm. Several people attended. I know at least a few that are here tonight. And Mr. Rob Bryant, answered a lot of questions about it. I think, and Marlene, you can tell me if I'm wrong here, but I think it was left that the groups would kind of get together and discuss some of the things that they were interested in, and then appoint someone, and I think Marlene was the one they may have appointed, to come back and meet with Rod again about some of the wishes of the group. I don't know if that's been done or not, but certainly not everybody was here at that planning commission. And so you have every right to come to us and speak. I will also preface this by the fact that the land that you're interested in has been, it's been that way for many years in terms of R3, I believe it is. And so when the person purchased it, they can do what they want with it, basically. I know it creates problems anytime there's a new housing development and so on, be it apartments or condos or houses or whatever. It can create issues for the people who live around that area. I live around that area. So I know that it's an issue. But as a city, we can do very little. We can actually do almost nothing when it comes to controlling that. So I just preface that for all of you. But I see that we have some people to speak.
Mr. Lynch, a bit of clarification. before
Okay.
we move on. And it's not disputing anything that has been said. We cannot prevent development of the lot. However, as it goes through, as that plan develops, we talked at the planning commission meeting. We're very committed to what you have to say about that plan, and within the limits that we have of trying to make that as nice a situation for everybody involved. Now, I will be honest with you, at the end of the day, the likelihood that everybody will say, I'm 100% satisfied and everything happened that I wanted to happen. Odds of that are slim to none. But Marlene handed me some papers and about the erection of a white vinyl privacy fence and things like that. I think are incredibly reasonable. Now the one letter notes that you want the white vinyl fence before anything happens over there. And usually you do stuff like that after you've done final grade and landscaping, and the fence usually comes at the end instead of the beginning. But within that, the scope of the rules, developers got to abide by the rules, and we have some level of interpretation. Now, and we'll have some ideas of our own about how to make that better. But the more concise the lists of needs and wants are, the better off and easier that makes that entire experience for everybody. And if you want to sit down and talk with us, we're happy to do that. If you want to talk with Mr. Bryant, he will be happy to do that. Everybody has a little bit of different personality and they react to people in different ways. If you want to talk with me about that, or me and Rod, we'll be happy to do that. And that's where we're at, kind of in a compressed state. but a conversation about how that plan develops is something that, you know, we're happy to do. I'm sorry to interrupt Mr. Lynch, and I'll be quiet from now on.
That's fine. Again, if you can, keep your comments brief and to the point. And if you haven't done this before, you need to come up to the podium, state your name and address. And Della's first, and she's done this before, so she can show you how to do it. I feel like the price is right. Della, come on down.
Come on down.
Hi, I'm Della Kester Key. I'm at 1311 Farmington Lane. I'm coming tonight to talk about the fact that after Tuesday night's meeting last week, it left a horrible taste, for sure. And I think the thing is we went back and we looked at the plans, and in all honesty, I went back and I put together a flyer and sent it out into Trotters Point, Andrick, and Quail Run, because I didn't know who knew and who didn't know about this 150 to 200 extra cars. Safety should be one of the utmost important things that we should look at when we're looking into a community, of everybody driving through a community into an apartment complex. I think it doesn't matter if there's no children even in that community. The fact that it's a walking community, people are out with their dogs, their cats, their kids, everything. I think from a safety perspective, 150 to 200 extra cars, that's incredibly insane. There are 52 houses on Farmington Lane, and you're gonna let them put 70 some apartment units up on a hill. That's more apartments than we have on houses on Farmington Lane. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. It's just crazy. And I went back and I looked at the zoning and I reread some of the zoning things and the county and the city zoning things. And it says in there, in some part of it, that you need to make sure that it fits into your community. These apartments do not fit into the community. And we went to look at the apartments because the architect had told us where to go. So we went, and they don't fit into our community because they don't have garages. I don't know of a house on Farmington or in Quail Run that doesn't have a garage. And these don't have a garage. It's just too many people. We're never gonna, as I said last Tuesday, we're never gonna get out of Farmington Lane. We're never gonna get out of Andrick. We're never gonna get out of Trotters Point. It's not gonna happen. And even if you think about putting up a light or something like that, it's gonna just be a cluster mess. It's just gonna be, you're gonna have backup everywhere. And I get development. And I've said all along, I am not opposed to development. I just don't understand why they can't do condos like that behind us. I mean, he didn't have to do apartments. He could have done condos, or you could have sent him back to Rod said he sent him back to the drawing board, but he could have sent him back a few more times. I mean, that's a lot of units up in one little area, and that's a lot of extra traffic and safety hazards.
Okay.
Okay.
Marlene, you're next.
Okay, well, I'm coming from Trotters Point. Could I have that paper I gave you, Joe? The one,
Color?
okay.
Or this one?
No, well, this one also. At the planning commission meeting, Joe asked David Fish and I to get a consensus from the residents at Trotters Point.
Marlene, can you state your name?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay, just for the record.
Okay, Marlene Rankin, 1296 Paddock Loop, Washington Courthouse.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I live at Trotters Point. Joe asked David Fish and I, and we both worked on this. There are 44 units in Trotters, and I have the signatures of 40 of those units. And as Joe said, I don't know what can be done about all this, but the very least, we need a fence. There's got to be, apparently he does have to put up some sort of barrier. It's at a mound, trees take a long time to do anything, and you can still get through. Do you know how many children are gonna be over there? In 74 units. And when he builds all the houses on the left of Red Mile, there'll be houses there. You're gonna have a lot of kids there, a lot of people there. You're gonna have a lot of people in the apartments. They're gonna be running back and forth. We already have a lot of trash blowing in. When he took down those trees, I had leaves up against my garage door, 12, 18 inch. Every time I opened my garage door, you know, the leaves blew in. But anyway, I was just gonna tell you a little bit about Trotters. It's a condominium association. It is private property. Our demographics are as follows. Now, I didn't write this. Elderly widowed women. Okay. Elderly married couples. A few middle-aged couples and a few singles. It's a safe place to live due to it being private and given a secluded location. A safe place depending on your age where you, your mother, grandmother would want to live. Very few people walk through our community as a shortcut to Walmart. When the woods were cleared, the following has occurred. The noise level from the 35 bypass, it's unbelievable. The wind coming from that direction it's unbelievable. There is some foot traffic. I don't know where they come from. I don't know if they're going to Walmart, where they're going. And says, would you feel safe? And this gentleman filed a police report who was in Florida at the time. He had a video from his doorbell showing a man on his patio from 4 a.m. through 6 a.m. I showed the video to the police officer, and he informed me it was a teenager that had had too much to drink, and they eventually walked over to Walmart and was sleeping in a stranger's car. Our concerns are as follows. The trees would take too long to be effective in deterring noise, wind, and foot traffic. Even though trees are advertised as fast growing, that only occurs given ideal soil conditions and adequate rain. The plans for this development do not show a fence between the two properties, but we want to keep our community safe. In summary, we are asking for at least a 6-foot-high solid vinyl fence that would help reduce the noise level, wind, and foot traffic. With the fence, we can envision a win-win situation. Our residents would win by feeling much safer, and Jarrett would win by being a good neighbor. I'll give you this back.
Thank you.
Will you pass those on to Rod?
Yeah. Thank you, Marlon. Next is David. David, state your name and...
My name is Dave Ekman. I live at 110 Seth Way in Quail Run. I am new to the development as of summer of last year. I left Grove City, unhappy with Grove City, and what I found in Quail Run was what I consider a very peaceful place to move my fiance and our children, and I'm just extremely happy with it. I've got $500,000 invested in my property, and when I sit here and listen to you guys say that your hands are tied, that there is really nothing that you can do about this, I'm astounded by that. I don't understand it. I'm not into politics, but I'm assuming that the building inspector works for you guys, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're his boss and he's in my opinion, his role is to safeguard us from exactly these types of situations. And you're allowing him to get away with it. I feel that you are capable of making a difference here. I'm not naive enough to assume that my words are going to make a difference in what I like and do not like. But the crime rate, I'm going to assume, educated guess, is that will increase. You're gonna have that. These people don't have $500,000 invested in their property. They've got month to month, and people like that just don't have the same regard for other people. Past experience. It's why I left Grove City. And I know, I just found out about this with the flyers from Della a week ago. I saw that there was things going on while walking our dogs with our kids. And I was curious, and it kind of didn't make any sense, like what could be going behind Walmart. I certainly didn't think that it was residential unless it was more houses. But to find out that it was apartments, I was blown away by that. It didn't make sense to me. And then to find out that the only egress is through our community, through our neighborhood. Why? I would like to at least hear why. You've got a quiet community with upstanding people, and then you're just going to basically dump on them and then say that your hands are tied. You've got Walmart there that would at least quiet down the situation. It's not going to stop the crime. It's not going to stop the, whatever. But the traffic, and with more traffic, you get more people on foot walking through, and it just opens things up for, in my opinion, a bad situation. And right now you've got a good situation. You've got a good neighborhood. And I'll be honest, I thought there was more good neighborhoods in Washington Courthouse. I did not explore Washington Courthouse in its entirety. But then I was pleasantly surprised that, regardless of the comparisons between neighborhoods, this community is a very friendly, very, very respectful community. I'm very impressed with that. I've told people over and over again, like, don't judge a book by its cover, because there's absolutely great people in this community. And I'm not saying that the people that move into the apartments are absolutely going to be terrible people at all. But I do believe that you are opening up Pandora's box for this neighborhood. And I would at least like an explanation as to why, one, you feel your hands are tied and you can't change the egress being only through Farmington and not through Walmart. And I guess I've said enough, but I'm disappointed. I'm very disappointed, very let down, because I went from feeling very happy with the situation that I have recently put myself in to second guessing that. So thanks for your time.
Thank you. Next, we have Hugh.
First of all, I'd like to thank for the opportunity to speak here tonight. And I want to tell you, I agree with most or nearly all of what was said previously. We moved to Courtney Drive. My name's Hugh Barnell, 1620 Courtney Drive, by the way, last year. And I think it's a wonderful neighborhood. Neighbors are friendly, houses are well maintained, and grasses are mowed. And I didn't know till I got here tonight just exactly what was going to propose to be transpired. The property was previously zoned B3, which would be like garden centers. You could have a Home Depot, you could have some light duty businesses there, but all commercial. And I presume the access was through the Walmart property. In 2000, ordinance number 38-2000, it was rezoned to R3 from B3. And I have no idea why that was done. I wasn't involved, I didn't live in that area, but it was rezoned to R3. And section of the code, Washington Courthouse Code, multiple family residential district, 156.03 R3, the purpose of that district and that zoning is it's established to accommodate multiple family residences at overall housing densities consistent with those existing in the area. The objective is to provide for the continuance, redevelopment, and/or limited expansion of multiple family developments in areas best equipped to accommodate such higher density development. I think this fails on all counts. It is totally different than anything out there. The R2 of Trotter's Point would be medium density. This is extremely high density property with high traffic that's going to go down Farmington Lane. I don't live on Farmington Lane, but there's going to be a tremendous amount of traffic coming out on the 41, which is already difficult sometimes to get out of that intersection because there's several intersections. You had 250 cars and then you had this high density, and it just is not in compliance what they're proposing with the densities that are existing in the area. And I would suggest that council look at this very closely to see what they are doing in destroying a really nice neighborhood with high density, extremely high density development. There's not enough access, not enough safe access. Farmington Lane is not that wide. If you got a car parked in front visiting someone on either side, it's one lane traffic. And you're gonna put all these apartments at the end of that street, and they're all gonna be coming and going. And it's gonna quadruple the amount of traffic on that street at least. So that's basically how I feel, and what is being done here is totally inappropriate and should not go forward. You know, twin signals, something like Trotter's Point, but this is just way beyond that. And the roads aren't there designed, don't have the capacity to handle that traffic. Thank you.
Thank you. Leah, you know the routine.
Leah Foster. I have lived at 1108 Farmington Lane for 26 years. So I was here at the planning meeting last Tuesday, and even though I know we cannot stop the debacle of Mr. Bishop, I think that we can look at some alternative ideas to make it better served for our community. They've all touched on points that I was going to touch on. First of all, the density. The density is crazy back there. You're going to have, I believe, 73 apartments, and I believe there's 147 parking spaces, I believe, right around there, give or take a couple. That's 147 cars that will be going up and down Farmington Lane. We are already a NASCAR track. If you live on they go as fast as they can. That's like their goal. How fast can they get to? Up and down Farmington. So that is 147 cars that will go up and down our street with additional traffic. And safety is my number one concern right now. If Jarrett wants to pay for speed bumps or some kind of rumble strips, that's fine. I'm not paying for it through tax dollars. I'll tell you that right now. Jarrett can fork it out. Also, I want to know what's going to happen at the end of Farmington to try to get out to 41, because it's already backed up. I saw this afternoon the house on the corner of Farmington and 41 went up for sale. So he's already put that up for sale. Don't blame him. We thought about it too. So you're going to have a backup so massive on Farmington, you're not going to get out. You're going to have so many accidents on 41. It's going to be crazy out there with people just chancing it because they're sick of waiting. You also have across from the gentleman that is now selling his house, there is a gentleman on that corner, and there are many times he is sitting on the corner in the street in his wheelchair. So, and as you turn onto the street, you have to slam on your brakes so you don't hit this poor gentleman. And I'm just envisioning that on top of everything else. So safety is a problem, huge. I do not understand. I know that Mr. Bryant mentioned something about our streets are well equipped for this kind of traffic. No, they're not. So I am not going to think it's correct, because he said, well, we'll make it so you can't park on the sides of the street. Well, that's crap. Sorry, you can record that. But that's crap, because there are many houses, they have visitors, maybe they have more cars. They don't want to take, they may have 4 cars, that's up to them. And they don't want to back up 2 cars every single morning to get their 3rd car out. That's not correct for them to have to shove them all in the driveway, because Jarrett Bishop wants to build 74 apartments at the end of our street. I also think, as far as the privacy aspect, you know, I think a fence is imperative. They have to have some kind of privacy. The traffic, the noise, the safety issues. And, I'm sorry, so your name again? David had a great point. I mean, it's just how life goes. When you rent versus when you buy, you have a different view of value to the property. And we all know that when you rent, unfortunately, you do not have the same value of your property as when you own it. So for the people, and to Marlene's point, we could have, you know, along with the 147 cars, we could have 74 new kids that running up and down and all over. And these poor people, they bought condos not to have 74 children running up and down in their condo space. That's not correct. They wanted peace. That was the whole point of it. I just think, you know, Rod said we can't do anything. I don't think that's right. I think that you need to revisit. I'm all about development. We need development. There are no apartments in this town. I get it, unless you're on a fixed income. But you need to rethink about where these are gonna go. If he wants to put condos back there, that's great. I think that ties into what we're all about. We're all about people owning their property and have a vested interest in the property. And as far as the in and out, I mentioned before, why can't we have another exit on the side of Walmart? There's the side that goes up and down by, I don't know, T-Mobile or whatever it is. Why can't there be another exit? I was told, oh, well, you're gonna get people coming from Walmart. Well, what's the difference between a couple few stragglers in their cars trying to whip around an apartment than 147 cars having one way in and one way out? I'd rather see them have a secondary exit, and I would think for the most part, they're gonna wanna go to Walmart, they're gonna wanna get to the expressway, they're gonna wanna go that direction for food versus always going up and down Farmington Lane. So I really think, I know we need development, but we need to rethink the safety aspect, number one, and as far as traffic, and as far as safety for our residents. So it's just fencing, also the walkway. I wanna bring up the walkway again. There's no way, if you were at the planning, there was a walkway and they were gonna put it in the parameters. Why were they gonna do it in the parameters? To fit the space for play area, one that it was like child's play.
You have to have open play area.
Yeah.
And really what that's trying to get at is so that you don't have an apartment development where essentially you got apartment building and everything is pavement.
Correct.
That's what that's trying to get at.
But it also walks right in the back of people's houses. They're looking into their property. So what we talked about is take that walkway, put it in the inset of it. So it helps with the privacy of the residents. I mean, the people that butt up against this fence, they have zero privacy. Jarrett has taken almost every tree out, every sense of peacefulness out for all these residents up and down Greensview and over in Trotters. And it's just, I think, you know, I sat on council. I think there are things that can be done for this and things need to be said. And I know Jarrett has gone and bought most of this town, but I don't care because we have a great neighborhood and we all purchased in that neighborhood for a reason. And if we knew that 74 apartments were going at the end of it, I darn well wouldn't have purchased in that neighborhood. There's no way.
Amen.
So,
Devalue everyone's.
oh, our property just went right down into the toilet. So, if Jarrett wants to buy my house, he's welcome to, for the value it was worth about 6 months ago. So, that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Are we allowed to do that?
You want-
Am I allowed to raise my hand and ask a question?
if you come up here and say.
Is that okay?
Yes,
My
go
name's not
ahead.
on this string.
No, go ahead.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm not very professional.
It'll be fun.
My name's Adam Lynch. I live at 1270 Farmington Lane. My wife and I moved here with our young son about 4.5 years ago. We love it. We love Quail Run. One of the reasons why we chose Quail Run, and especially where we're at, is because it was that quiet little nook at the end of the road. And so for me, we came from Indianapolis, and so I'm used to development, and I'm very excited about a development. I'm excited about that. In my line of work, what I do, I get to meet a lot of new people, and I know people need housing, especially here in Courthouse. So I'm very excited about that piece. My concern, I just want to voice my concern, is the safety with the traffic. Are we allowed to ask questions, and then do you guys answer them?
If we can, yes.
Okay. Okay.
Adam, don't stop now.
Okay. Because like, was there ever a conversation with residents, or how would that go? Because I know it's a private.
I'll answer that.
Okay, it's a private land. You got to talk. That's my turn.
No.
I love you, Leah. Sorry, shoot. I know that. It's a private area, and he can build whatever he wants on there. But it is a public road that we all live on, and my concern is for my two boys. I have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old who love playing outside. They play in the front yard, play in the backyard, all that stuff. We have a little neighbor girl who's always with us, her parents. Anyways, and so I'm just concerned about what is the plan for that, and why can't we come in from the other side? Like, what is the reason? If I want to just ask, and if you guys can respond, I'm not angry. I'm just very concerned about the safety of our children on that street. So, and like I said, I'm all for development, but I would just like to ask you guys, any of y'all, what can we do about that? Why can't we do anything about that? To go back to David's question that you guys didn't answer, and that's not a poke on you guys. I'm just noticing things. So, what is the reason why we can't do that, or could there be another entrance? Go ahead.
I could answer, but Joe wants to say something, and then I'll say something.
Yeah.
Go
Okay.
ahead, Joe.
Yeah. Great.
What I want to stress that, I'm just an official of the city.
What do you mean? What does that mean?
It means that I'm an employee, and I will try to help you in every way that I can, but
Okay.
It isn't like I don't want to overpromise anything either.
Yeah.
The development process, if you're starting from scratch, let's say, we got open field. We can use, the Broaders Point development as a good example. Okay. You had development next to an established neighborhood, and you had a lot of emotion and concern.
Yeah.
Not dissimilar in some ways to what we see today. And there's more input into the process because you've got this blank field that you got to figure out, how does this work? Here, you've got a lot that's been zoned R3 for a rather long time. And there's similarities and dissimilarities to, like, if somebody buys a single family lot, okay, we don't have a public meeting about what house they put on it. If you meet setback requirements, you can build a colonial house, you can build very modern style house, you got a lot of leeway about what you can do. Here, the characterization that he can do anything is not entirely accurate because it's multifamily. There's certain requirements that you gotta meet in terms of open area. You can't build an apartment complex where essentially you got building and everything else is asphalt. There is a density requirement. Initially, when their engineering firm did the density calculations, they came up with a much larger number, and we told them, no, you can't do that. But And there's things that we can input on, like the walk area around the development. That's objectionable to some folks. That's something that's relatively easy to nix. I'm gonna go out on a limb here. One thing that I think would be, if you're gonna have apartments back there, that would be much better in the long term. In terms of the renter and the longevity of the renter at the location, is the more of the apartments that had a garage option. If you're gonna have apartments back there, I would think that that would be better. Quite honestly, in that little preliminary plan that you looked at, that's not there because they don't think that they have enough room there because of that open area requirement. And that might be something that we wanted to continue to comply with the zoning ordinance, but that might be something that you look at in terms of how that they've calculated that to see if there is space for the garages, because the other thing that they're useful for is forming an additional buffer between the already developed area and where the apartments are themselves. And because it's 6 acres back there, multiple units, so you gotta do things a lot more in depth, like drainage plans and so forth, than you're gonna do for a residential house. Because the potential impact is a lot more. So there is, within the set of rules, so to speak, additional opportunity for us to take a look at it. What you can't really do, and Mark, help me if I'm wrong, he bought a piece of property that's been zoned R3 for many years. You can't look at him and say, I'm sorry, we just don't want you to do this here. And you're completely out of luck, and essentially you can't deny him use of the property, so to speak.
Can you require that second exit though? Like Adam?
Or just
get
a different entrance. I'll let you guys go. I know you guys got a lot to talk about, but for me, I just want to get my point across. I guess I would be very okay with the apartments if they come in from a different angle. I think it's great. People need a place to live. I would just love to see a road come from the other side.
So, question: are you talking about that it has no access to Farmington, or dual Farmington and additional?
I don't like 147 new cars coming down
Exactly.
Farmington.
Okay. Because
it's already crazy. It's already crazy.
Quite honestly, that
So.
surprises me is the idea of, well, for lack of a better description, the drive-through apartment development. That kind of surprise that I think would be problematic in the long run for you.
I'm gonna go out by Walmart.
Okay.
Just tell the 22 semi-trucks in the parking lot to leave.
Okay.
I'm just I don't know all those specific things. Can we create a better option that isn't just 174 new cars come down Farmington every day?
Okay.
So, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you guys. Thanks.
Thank you.
You're good.
Okay, your name's not Lynch, I'm not gonna speak. Todd, come on.
He's my uncle.
Somewhere.
That's not true.
No, it's not true. I promise.
So I'm kidding, I know Todd too, so Todd, yes, go ahead.
First of all, I'd like to, again, my name's Todd Mustine. I'm at 1645 Courtney Drive, and I'm here representing my wife and my family as well. First of all, I want to thank you guys for conducting such a good meeting. Normally, I'm on the other side of the table for these things in my profession, so I understand the position you're in, and appreciate your public service. So I just want to get that right out of here. The other thing I'd like to say is everybody's made some great points. I've seen some neighbors I know. I've seen some unfamiliar faces also, which is good to see. And they've all made some really good points. And I'm not going to duplicate any of the points that they've already made. So I support what they say. I will add that I agree with development. I grew up in 2 houses that are no longer here because they've been abated. So I've come a long way to get to where I'm at. Born and raised here in Washington Courthouse, Ohio. It's the first time I've addressed the council. One of the first times I've been to a council meeting. So I feel a little ashamed about that. I should probably be here more often. But my family's lived here a long time. So my wife and I bought our house about 8 or 9 years ago, and we've been there. And a couple of things I just want to add. about not being able to park on the side of the street. That could seem like a good idea at times in our neighborhood. It seems like it might be a good idea now, but there are other reasons for parking on the side of the street. Right now, my roof's being replaced. I need to park on the side of the street because I can't access my driveway. If that weren't an option, I'd have a real problem. And it's because we do take pride in our homes and we do keep them in good repair. So that's one of the things I'd like to point out. The other thing, we talk about young children. I'd like to talk about my teenagers, my young drivers. I've got a 17-year-old daughter who hasn't been driving long, and if anybody's pulled out onto 41, you got to use good judgment. And even coming in to turn onto Farmington, you got to use good judgment. And that's not always the case with young drivers. So it worries me. I think the more traffic, the worse that gets. So anything we can do to try and alleviate that concern, I think would be a good thing. My son went through his spell driving, coming off of Farmington and pulling onto 41 in the winter. It's even worse when the roads are icy. He fishtailed into the ditch. Thank God he was okay. We pulled him out. But those are the kind of problems I think that are going to be exacerbated by increased traffic. And the numbers being cited, the 147 cars, I think are reasonable numbers. I noticed that the number kind of kept growing, so I don't think we need to exaggerate. 147 is enough. That's a problem. It could grow more with visitors. Another thing I'd like to address before I get out of here that maybe wasn't touched on, a point was brought up about needing garages, or garages would be a good thing. I agree. And Mr. Denon talked about what we would have to do to maybe kind of revisit that and accomplish that. I'd say one thing you could do was reduce the number of units to maintain the green space. So you could add garages, reduce the number of units, and maintain the same green space, and that could possibly be a win-win solution there. I agree. I would rather, if I'm given the choice and everybody's listening to the residents' concerns that are already there, an egress towards Walmart and leave Farmington out of it would be ideal. So we're already looking at a one-way in, one-way out on Farmington. If that's what the developer is willing to do, why couldn't that also be one-way in, one-way out towards Walmart? A lot of us get out onto 41 to go to Walmart, hop right down 35. I would imagine a lot of the people in those apartments would want to get to Walmart quicker too. So those are the points I'd like to make just to add to the conversation. Also, I can tell my wife I did my job and came up here and spoke to you tonight. So I appreciate all of you, and thank you for the time.
Thank you.
Okay.
Can I say one more thing, Dale?
Yes.
Everybody seems so concerned about the density, that many people. I think people would be a lot happier, I know Trotter's people would be a lot happier if have single-story buildings.
Yes.
This two-story building, they're looking right down in, they're just looking right in. If they just had, go ahead and do all your buildings, but make them just single-story. And that would cut down on the density.
Okay, thank you.
May I approach the?
Yes,
I have something to say too.
we had a sign up sheet. You should have signed up.
I'm so sorry. I just got my letter yesterday, so I didn't know I'd had a sign-up sheet, but I'm Samantha Ross. I'm at 1453 Courtney Drive. And I think it is important that the entire community get their say in this because this is a very big deal. A lot of us, when we came to this area, I haven't grown up here. I actually came here from Chillicothe. When I moved to this area, I was looking for the best of the best. And I honestly found it there in Quail Run. I wanted a place that I could be in where not only did I feel safe, but I had that piece of that pie that I had been working so hard for. I think that when we do things like this, it devalues those things that we worked so hard for. And I just wanted to put my voice out there. I think it's really important that we all speak on that manner. When you have something you've worked so hard and you've invested so much into, and you've got that moment, and then it's taken from you, and even though this is where people will be living, everybody needs a place to live, it devaluates our community that we have built, that piece of that pie that we worked so hard for. We want to be able to see people have, the places to live that they need to, but not at the cost of the work that we put in to have what we have. I also would like just to make the statement that you're looking at a community who pays the taxes here. So it's very important to understand who's paying the bills. And I can promise you that the members of Quail Run and the ones that are having that highest income ratios are the ones that are truly putting forth the most into this community when it comes to tax time. So I just think that needs to be taken into consideration, that we do and would have a say in how this community is developed. And when that you are changing what those zoning laws are, that you are doing more to include the community that's paying the most. And I stepped down with that time. Thank you.
Can I ask a question? You keep saying that your hands are tied and you can't do anything. Whose hands aren't that we could go to talk to?
Matt, I want to say something. So as a council member, I listen to everything, what everybody says. And this is how I operate in my entire life. I listen and I think about it. I believe a lot of things can be resolved with conversation. And we had a dog issue, a long dog issue. It resolved with conversation. We had an issue with another zoning. It was resolved with conversation. So, on my defense, I'm going to listen to you and I'm going to think about it, and I'll have conversations with Joe and I'll learn more. And then, it's not, there's committees for these things. And so you guys have already went to those committees. So then it comes to us at the end. And so you're here now and I'm listening. I think a lot of us are, because we're all taking notes. But that's how, I'm not going to speak tonight, because I don't know enough to tell you. I can't resolve your questions and give you a legitimate answer that I can stand behind. So, but I do, this is what government is about. You come, you tell us what you want, and then we try to help you. When there's nobody sitting in those seats, it's kind of hard because we don't know what people want. So I appreciate you guys coming, and Sean, he wanted a trail, God love him, and he has been here for week after week after week, and he's getting his trail. So I think that's important for everybody to understand tonight, and I agree with Joe, not everyone's going to be happy. So, but on my part, I will listen, and I'll let you talk now.
My name is Lisa Patton, and I live at 1572 Greensview Lane. I've been there 12 years. So I'm coming to talk on the other side of Farmington because I live on Greensview. So when these cars come out of this new development, I agree with Farmington, but they're gonna get sick of Farmington and they're gonna go Greensview. And then they're gonna be like, Zoom, I'm gonna beat this traffic. My problem with that is, safety's been an issue for a long time. It hasn't come up now. Our cars have been broken into 3 times since we've lived there. 3 times. Also, there are no sidewalks when you get to the old part of Quail Run. And the way the light comes in during the certain times of the day, we have had, I can't remember what their names are, they live right on the, it's Greensview Lane on the curve. They've had their mailbox taken out 3 times from the light. When they come in, the glare coming in from the sun, you cannot see. And I mean, I've almost taken out walkers because I'm a walker. I walk every day. And I mean, it's very dangerous. I mean, like they said, we have walkers walk our neighborhood every day. Children on bikes, it's very dangerous even now. So I can't even imagine without sidewalks, because they're going to take both routes because they're going to get sick of Farmington. Like I don't know who it is in our neighborhood, but there's a little boy that goes to Bel Air and they let him ride his bike across 41. And it just scares me to death every morning when I'm going to work because I'm like, this kid is going to get hit on this little bike. And also, I don't know if anybody's aware, but the high school bus drops off their kids on 41. Right. They don't even come in our subdivision. They pull up to Farmington and the kids get out of the bus and walk across the street, or what road, 41. I mean, I've had people come to me and say, do you know that's going on? Because my kids rode the bus. And I'm like, yeah, it's dangerous. And, so I mean, and another thing on safety, I don't know who it is on Farmington, but probably 4 years ago, they actually put one of those signs that Zach, yeah, that tracked your speed. Yeah. And they had like a speed bump there. It was there for a long time because this has been an issue.
That was us.
Okay, because this has been an issue way before this even came into fruition. So safety has always been an issue in our neighborhood. Half of my land in the back of my house is Walmart, and the other half was the woods. And I constantly have people going through to Walmart. I mean, it's just, I mean, we had to put cameras up because we had that much theft and damage to our house. And now, since they've taken the trees down, we have trash all over our backyard. The dirt, the dust is terrible. So I agree with that. I had not heard about the fence or the vinyl fencing, but safety is not just an issue that started today with this development. It's always been an issue in our neighborhood. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I agree, everybody deserves a chance to talk. Of the 7 people on city council, I have the most interest in this because I live on Farmington. And I've said from the beginning to the city manager, let's think outside the box about how we can get people in and out of the apartments. Because as has already been said, there are times where I sit at the end of Farmington trying to get out on 41 and I have to sit there a while. Anyway, I understand all of what's been said. And if you think we're ignoring you, as Kendra just pointed out, we're listening. We've all taken lots of notes. And we're going to talk about these things. Now, to answer your question, why do we say our hands are tied? Well, our hands are tied in terms of what he can do there. It's his property. But we can talk with him.
Conversation.
We can try to work out things that will make as many people happy as can be, and I'm guessing none of us who live on Farmington are ever going to be totally happy about this. But there are things that we can do. But when we say our hands are tied, it's zoned that. He bought it. He can do that. Now, how he does it, that's what I'm hoping we can work out some things. And so that's what we mean by our hands are tied. And that was the same with the Planning Commission. But I do, believe me, all of us do. You don't have to live on Farmington Lane to understand what the situation is here. But I do understand, and I do listen, and I do think about all the issues that are coming up over this. So don't think we're ignoring you. We're not. It's one of those things I would love to be able to sit down with the developer and say, we need this, we need this, we need this. And if you deal with him in the right way, we may get a lot of that stuff. If you deal with him and from a nasty standpoint, you may get nothing. And so we'll try to do that, and I go along with what Kendra said. We'll try to do it in the best way possible and get as much as all these things you're talking about. But our hands are tied as to what he can do there. This was rezoned, I think somebody said 23 years ago or something like that. And at one point, Mark, I think you said earlier, there was a discussion about putting condos there. And people fought that. Now you wish you could go back and say, I wish they'd have put condos there.
Can you rezone?
Not at this point.
And he would still be grandfathered into what he bought it as.
Anyway, I do know, and Joe brought this up earlier, tell them what you said about people moving out of Franklin County. That amazes me.
Well, David, I found very interesting because Washington Courthouse, and you don't think of it this way. If you're leaving Franklin County and you're not going out of state, at the moment, Fayette County is your most popular destination.
Yes.
And that has to mean that the overwhelming majority of those people are in Washington Courthouse because the county has a whole lost population, but the city of Washington Courthouse grew significantly faster than the state as a whole. So those people moved to essentially Washington Courthouse. A lot of folks, it's the unscientific part of that. When you sign up for water initially, you know, I haven't lived here all my life, but I have, but except for, you know, you went to school and college and so forth. You don't know everybody, but when somebody's completely unfamiliar, a lot of times, you know, you can think, I've never seen that person here before, ever. So if they're out there at the water counter and they've been out there longer than they're paying their bill, if I'm available, I'll go out and just have a casual conversation. And if they've moved here from out of town, the two most popular answers are, I moved here because I couldn't afford a home in the Columbus market, or I got more for my buck here, or I just felt smaller in a safer community. And that's a trend which may well continue for a while. And the challenge will be, you want to grow, but at the same time you want to maintain the friendly community that David talked about, in a sense of a small town community. And this day and age, it's very unusual to be able to say this, but I'm actually the fourth generation in my family that has worked for the City of Washington Courthouse. So my connection to it and affection for it is rather profound. What's important at this point in time, and it's quite difficult for the people in the existing neighborhood, is you don't let emotion overcome logic, and at the same time on our side of the fence that we don't react equally emotionally. And you know, it's the cooler the head is at this point in time, the easier it makes it to mold the whole situation.
And that we don't overpromise.
There you go.
We want to have things better, but we have limited control. Okay. Yes. Hi.
Should I go up there?
Yes, you should.
Good evening. My name's Karen Singleton, 1380 Courtney Drive. I moved in approximately 2 years ago. I'm a very process, detail-driven individual. That's the nature of my life. I work for doctors. However, and I believe in communication. So my question is, the first I heard about this entire thing was a flyer that was on my door handle. So my question is, how does this process work? I work out of town. I'm sorry to say I don't read the Record Herald. I have family who tell me about it every night. How is the information that you're going to and the conversations you're going to have going forward going to come back to the residents here? And how do we come back to you? Do we have to come back to every city council meeting? How do we communicate with each other through this process? Can you answer that for us?
Well, first of all, I'd love it if you came back to every city council meeting. We have usually nobody in here. Well, Sean is usually here.
Sean, yes.
We usually have nobody here, so you can come back and we can discuss it. But also, if you have questions or you have, you know, if you need things answered, you can call Mr. Denon here at the city building.
Well, I was just thinking that if it's something about a particular community that is going to impact them, that you would reach out to those individuals and not me finding out about it on a flyer.
Not if
But
that
to me, that's communication.
No.
Yeah.
So it's a definition.
You can discuss, I hope, who gets notified when there's things like going
It's
on.
X number of feet, from the development.
Would that impact my reduced property?
It's gonna reduce the values.
That's why I'm saying
It's not right, since we the ones paid for it.
But that's the notification. You can change that if you don't think that that's sufficient. But, I mean, as the process plan goes forward, we do have an advantage in that you've got the condo community there in terms of disseminating information to you folks. We can collect your email addresses. Certainly there are ways that we can talk to you about that. Here, the goal from our perspective is the interest of the community as a whole, with paying special attention to the folks that are most directly impacted by it. And that is something that, you know, we're happy talk to you, listen, and see what we can work with and what isn't going to ultimately materialize. You have to, in order for that to work, the city, Mark, help me out here, we can't appear, and we can't. The residents are important to us, but in order for that to work, you can't appear like you've taken a predisposed disposition against the owner of the property. You understand what I'm trying to explain?
There's a balance.
I'm just trying to determine if we have to check in with you every week or.
No. If you want to leave your name and your email address and a phone number, we can think of ways to make it easier to communicate with you. And one great advantage we got, the condos back there, Marlene and David Fish, we've had a long relationship with them because of their community service and other capacities with the City of Washington Courthouse. So that's a huge advantage there. Makes that a little bit easier.
I do have another question too.
Okay.
Concern. The dandy bags that are down there now,
Hey, what?
that's the cover up for the drains.
Oh.
Cause I'm fortunate that I have my family that works in construction in Columbus, and he's been appalled at them. They're a city's job to keep those clean. And since Jarrett Bishop went back there, that dirt down the road has been horrendous. Like if he goes back there and by law, if he brings those trucks out of there, someone's supposed to be rinsing off the tires. My husband was appalled when Sonic was built at the dirt around that because, and he would have been fine in Columbus. But just the dirt taking place on the road has been, and I don't even live down there, but it's been, the dandy bags, if you go by it, like, it's horrible. And that's the city's job to keep us clean.
We talked about that last Tuesday.
Okay. It's interesting because several of you brought up the fact that we need more housing. I think Joe said earlier tonight in one of our committee meetings that there right now is no rental properties available in Washington Courthouse. I don't know if that's true. I think that's what you said.
Well, I mean, periodically, you know, one will become open,
Right.
but it's
But
as close to zero as you're practically gonna get.
the thing that causes us problems, a little while back, there was discussion of putting apartments and things out on Duffy Drive. Well, guess what happened? People from Storybrooke came here and said, wait, we don't want that. And so where?
Well, that was a rezone.
Where, I know, but where, you know, where can you put things that don't affect somebody? I don't know. That's the problem we run into. Okay, we have a lot of legislation to pass and vote on tonight. I really appreciate your coming. I appreciate all your input. We listened, we took notes, and we're gonna talk. Thank you.
notes.
And you're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting.
I'll see him tomorrow. I'll be keenly interested in what happens.
You really care?
I shall be hunted down in the morning.
Okay, well, he's pretty good at patting himself on the back.
Yeah, and he needs to turn that off.
I feel like I know your name.
Well,
It's like he's doing
Okay.
What's your name? Say it again.
you gotta.
Okay. Spell your last name for me.
For a pastoral
Come and complain
All right.
about people driving.
I'll try to remember. Thank you.
Thanks for coming back. You know, they're upset.
I think I
They're
know his
emotional.
name.
Okay, thank you.
Just need to leave that.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for that.
All right, thank you.
All right, we're going to continue now with legislation previously introduced, and first is ordinance number 3, 2023, and its third reading.
I'll move that we place ordinance number 3, 2023 on a third reading.
Second.
Okay, discussion? Roll call.
Johnson,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Chrisman,
Yes.
Hawk,
Yes.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
Ordinance number 3-2023, amending ordinance number 26-2022 by providing supplemental appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Washington Courthouse, Fayette County, Ohio during fiscal year ending December 31st, 2023.
Move for passage.
Second.
Roll call.
Johnson,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Chrisman,
Yes.
Hawk,
Yes.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes. Ordinance number 4, 2023, its second reading.
I'll move we put ordinance 4, 2023 on second reading.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Johnson,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Chrisman,
Yes.
Hawk,
Yes.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
Ordinance number 4-2023, an ordinance amending codified ordinance 52.003, septage disposal.
Resolution number R16, 2023, second reading.
I'll move that we place resolution number R16, 2023 on second reading.
Second.
Discussion?
Is,
Go ahead.
is this something the police department definitely wants?
Yes.
Do we?
Well, yeah, and we have some grant money to offset the cost of it, and the way the world's going, Ted, there isn't really any practical choice not to.
Okay.
Good question. Okay, roll call.
Johnson,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Chrisman,
Yes.
Hawk,
Yes.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
Resolution number R16-2023, a resolution authorizing Joseph J. Denon, City Manager of the City of Washington Courthouse, to enter into contract with Motorola for purchase of Motorola body cameras and in-car cameras for the Washington Courthouse Police Department.
Move for adoption.
Second.
Roll call.
Johnson,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Chrisman,
Yes.
Hawk,
Yes.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes. Resolution number R17, 2023, second reading.
I'll move we put resolution R17, 2023 on second reading.
Second.
Discussion.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have a couple of questions. Not only for this particular resolution, but also the one of purchasing the property out by the water company. I haven't been privy to any conversation about how we're gonna pay for this. Is there any discussion about how we're gonna, we're looking on close to $500,000. Get somebody.
Well, you're gonna have to, at some point in time, appropriate the funds to do that.
But if we pass it, if the funds are not already appropriated, that seems like it's kind of wagging the dog.
Well, you've done that ever since you've been a member of council.
Correct.
That's why you have to
Questioning
do the
this,
supplemental.
Pardon?
That's why you just did a supplemental with, ordinance 3-2023.
That includes this?
No.
Well, then what's the difference then? How are we gonna pay for these?
Wait, you're
properties?
telling me that you want me to go out and purchase this piece of property if you pass resolution R17-2023? Within the scope of that, you could take, in this case of property, you could use general fund money, you could use permanent improvement money, to purchase that piece of property. And Jim, at the moment, that does not, it doesn't bother me. Now, the property next to the water company, you have the two options I just mentioned, and also it would be a valid expense of the water fund. But at some point in time, you'll have to balance out the appropriation to meet what you've told us to do.
So then you will, at that time, add
Yeah.
these three properties to
Yeah.
this, come to council, and then
Yeah,
request
and
that.
yeah, the
this
one
money
thing
be
that we might want to do too, if I don't like interest rates right now, but simply because Christina's never done it before, it might make sense that we simply go through the process of issuing a note, which is not bonds, that's a short-term debt, simply so that she has the experience of doing that on something that is not a mission-critical activity. And you might pay that off next year, but I mean, interest rates right now kind of irritate me, but we may want her to issue a note and do that, which would be a little bit more legislation. But it's not unusual for you folks to tell me to do something and then you balance out the appropriation a little bit further down the road, like you did that with the fire truck. You said, Joe Denon, thou shalt go out and buy this fire truck. So we went out and we bought a fire truck. And there we did that partially with cash, and since in the city world it's not a huge amount of money, that particular truck, we did a little bit of financing with Merchants Bank. But at the moment, cash-wise, if we just wanted to pay cash for the two things we're talking about here, that doesn't bother me a whole lot.
Okay. So basically, we've passed these, then at a later date.
You're telling me to go out and exercise the option, so Mark will
Right.
draw a purchase contract. And then I'll have a little bit of discussion with Christina about, are you comfortable paying cash? Or do you want to issue a note? And the other thing we'll have to look about, while they're not enormous, they're not small either, you'll have to think about cash management. Because, when you pass the budget, that revenue comes in the course of the year. If you're a school district, it would be great because it happens twice a year. Here with income tax, it gets spread out throughout the course of the year, and you got a lot of other sources of income, water, wastewater, that comes every day. But that's something that occurs a little bit another step down the road.
Okay, thank you. Roll call.
Johnson?
Yes.
Schultz?
Yes.
Blair?
Yes.
Chrisman?
Yes.
Hawk?
Yes.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Lynch?
Yes.
Resolution number R17-2023, a resolution authorizing Joseph J. Denon, city manager or his designee, to purchase the property located at 532 Dayton Avenue, Lot 5, Washington Courthouse, Ohio, 43160, parcel number 212-017-2-00-059-00, pursuant to the terms and conditions contained in the option, the option to purchase attached hereto.
Move for adoption.
Second.
Roll call.
Johnson?
Yes.
Schultz?
Yes.
Blair?
Yes.
Chrisman,
Yes.
Hawk,
Yes.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes. Moving to new legislation, first is resolution number R 18/2023, first reading.
I move that we place resolution number R 18/2023 on first reading.
I'll second that.
Discussion? Roll call.
Johnson.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Blair.
Yes.
Chrisman,
Yes.
Hawk,
Yes.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
Resolution number R 18/2023, a resolution confirming Joseph J. Denon, City Manager of the City of Washington Courthouse, reappointment of Mr. Terry Fike to the Board of Tax Review for a term concluding on December 31st, 2025.
Resolution number R 19/2023, first reading.
I move that we place resolution number R 19/2023 on first reading.
Second.
I'm sorry. All of a sudden we're in fast mode. I like it though.
Discussion? Roll call. I was laughing.
Johnson,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Chrisman,
Yes.
Hawk,
Yes.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
Resolution number R 19/2023, a resolution confirming Joseph J. Denon, City Manager of the City of Washington Courthouse, reappointment of Mr. Ron Sockman to the Board of Tax Review for a term concluding on December 31st, 2025.
Resolution number R 20/2023, first reading.
I move that we place resolution number R 20/2023 on first reading.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Johnson.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Blair.
Yes.
Chrisman.
Yes.
Hawk.
Yes.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
Resolution number R 20/2023, a resolution confirming Joseph J. Denon, City Manager of the City of Washington Courthouse, reappointment of Mrs. Nancy Hammond to the Board of Tax Review for the term concluding on December 31st, 2025.
Resolution number R 21/2023, first reading.
I move that we place resolution number R 21/2023 on first reading.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Johnson.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Blair.
Yes.
Chrisman.
Yes.
Hawk.
Yes.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
Resolution number R 21/2023, a resolution authorizing Joseph J. Denon, City Manager, to enter into an agreement with the Ohio Department of Transportation for the purchase of bulk highway rock salt.
Will our supply of rock salt be the highest point in Fayette County?
The highest in the history of the world. We have more salt now than we've
Along
ever
with
had.
Fayette County.
A lot of salt.
Okay, resolution number R 22/2023, first reading.
I move that we place resolution number R 22/2023 on first reading.
Second.
Discussion?
I think Caleb's practicing to be an auctioneer.
Yes.
He
He's
took
ready.
Kendra's place, she still goes. No
Like him
discussion,
tonight.
okay, roll call.
Johnson.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Blair.
Yes.
Chrisman.
Yes.
Hawk.
Yes.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
Resolution number R 22/2023, a resolution authorizing Joseph J. Denon, City Manager, to enter into a cooperative agreement with the Director of Transportation of the State of Ohio, referencing West Court Street, US Route 22, PID number 112796 for urban paving.
And resolution number R 23/2023, first reading.
I move that we place resolution number R 23/2023 on first reading.
I second the motion to place resolution.
Oh, please.
2023.
Well, that
You
doesn't
should
work
have
for
done
me.
that.
It's been a long night, Tom,
No,
you
no.
can tell. Discussion, roll call.
Johnson.
Yes.
Schultz.
No.
Blair.
No.
Blair. R 22. No, R 23.
Yeah, I'm going to say, I would make a motion to table this resolution till I get some more information. For example, on the contract that you sent out, there's an Exhibit A, which shows some changes that were made. The last time we got together as council, I thought that this was dead because of the additions that were actually to be made. Am I correct, Dale?
Yes.
Okay, so.
But then
I'm
he
con-
dropped most of those conditions.
Well, see, I wasn't aware of that until I get this packet, so I'm gonna just make a motion to table that till we can have some more discussion on this.
I would second that.
Okay, I guess we need a vote. To table.
So I can do that without
Yes.
finishing, okay, all right. Can I ask a question, when do I ask a question before we vote? Is that gonna cause a problem in the agreement with him,
Is it going to cause a problem?
that we're delaying it more?
No, but, you know, we're spending money every day on doing, surveying, getting this prepared, and I have a surveyor who's preparing legal descriptions. So, it does, we got 90 days from the time we signed the option agreement.
Well, I'll make it, here's the situation. I think I'm not objecting to buying this piece of property. I think the city needs it for future development of the water treatment plant, but I don't like the price we're paying. I think we should have done a little different type of negotiating. I don't believe this seller of this piece of property had a lot of people lined up throwing $25,000 an acre at him when most of it is swampland. I would say we should have put it did a little different negotiating. $25,000 an acre for the 3 or 4 acres we're gonna need for the future, and maybe $10,000 an acre for the remainder of it. I would have felt a lot better about that particular type of, we were in the driver's seat on this. And we could have said, yes, we're interested in the property, but we don't want all this other swampland, but we'll buy it at a reduced price. That's how it should have been approached. Also, the fencing on Exhibit A he wants us to put up, that would allow us extra money to do that. And then also, he wants us to hook up sewage to his house at no charge, that would allow us to do that also.
Fencing's gone, right?
Oh,
Fencing option's
fencing's
gone.
gone.
It's not on.
It's on there, it's still in there.
Fencing is not on part of the.
What about hooking his home up to the?
He has a leaching field.
Mhm.
As long as the leaching field, he doesn't care to join the city. But if that ever happens, then he wants to be able
All right,
to
okay,
attach
that's
to the
fine.
city, if that's the case.
Yeah, well, eventually we'll have to put a fence up anyway, because the old fence is bad out there. We'll have to put a fence up eventually. So, but anyway, I think I would have felt better if we would have had it that particular way. And offered him the 25,000 an acre for the acreage we were going to use. And then to reduce the rest of the acreage, which we'll never be able to use for hardly anything, maybe a part of the trail, we could use it for that possibly if we drain some of the swamp. But $10,000 an acre for that. I think we missed a great opportunity here to get it at a better price.
Well, then Mark dealt with them and you should have communicated that to Mark.
I did. I said that in one of the meetings. I objected to the price 2 or 3 meetings. I kept saying, what's the price? They kept saying, I said, can you renegotiate with him? And they said, yes, we'll have a conversation. Then you came back and said, we put a fork in it, it's dead. And now all of a sudden we got a resolution.
And I asked Dale, once he dropped the extra issues that he wanted, do you want this put on the legislation so we can actually arrive at a conclusion of the matter or not?
Okay.
And that's how you got this.
Okay.
Steve, the swampland you're referring to was created by the city.
Well, so we're buying
The
back.
trees that are dead there that make it look like a swamp is because the city built a road to the wells back there
Mhm.
and didn't put a culvert under it, and that water
Okay.
can't drain fast enough. I mean, eventually it dries out, but if
Right.
it had a little culvert, it would, so I think the city could fix that.
Yeah, but that's more money and we're paying $25,000 an acre for it. That's the problem.
Well, we created the problem on
Yeah,
the
we shouldn't have to
swamp.
pay for it twice. I just think we should have renegotiated this whole deal.
Mr. Gannon or Mr. Pitstick, refresh my memory. My memory says that motions to table aren't up for discussion.
That's correct.
So why are we discussing it?
No, it's not. With no more discussion then.
Roll call to table.
This is to table. Johnson? This is to table.
I wasn't ready for this. No.
Schultz,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Chrisman,
No.
Hawk,
No.
Hernandez,
No.
Lynch.
No. Okay, so we're back to resolution number R 2023, first reading. Roll call.
Can I ask a question with this?
Sure.
With Blair, now that we're doing roll call again, he never really answered the roll call.
Right.
He made a motion during that, so now I can roll call start with
Kelly,
him again.
just start over from the
Start over
beginning.
again?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't know.
Nope, good question.
First time.
So what
Johnson?
are we
Yes.
doing now?
I'm gonna start roll call
We're
again.
Like at the
first
beginning.
reading
At the
of the
beginning.
resolution.
Yes, roll, this is for first reading again, okay?
Is this first reading or table?
No,
First
we
reading.
already did.
First
Table.
reading.
Table got
Table.
voted down.
Okay, so now
This
we're
is
going back
first
to first
reading.
reading. Okay. Johnson,
Yes.
Schultz,
No.
Blair,
No.
Chrisman,
Yes.
Hawk,
Yes.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
Okay. Resolution number R 23-2023, a resolution authorizing Joseph J. Denon, city manager or his designee, to purchase the property located on North Street in Washington Courthouse, Ohio, parcel number 190-011-000-022-00, pursuant to the terms and conditions contained in the option to purchase real estate attached hereto.
Mr. Johnson, do you have miscellaneous?
Yes, in addition to cutting your grass, as has been mentioned today, I did promise someone I spoke to, it was actually a couple of weeks ago now, I was supposed to say it at the last meeting, but I was sick. They were concerned about grass clippings going into the roadway and how dangerous that is. And it is dangerous, and I agreed with them, and I said that, in particular, I would say something at the next council meeting, because they are not usually able to attend. They were older and elderly, and so here I am upholding my end of that promise. Make sure you don't put your grass clippings into the roadway, please.
Thank you. Good point. Kendra?
Short and sweet, mom's the bomb, Monday, or Friday night. We have a bomb drop with the help of the fire department. And, so if you have a special woman in your life who has served as a mother figure, please bring her down because she's gonna get some good free stuff.
Mom's the bomb. Steve, what do you got?
Well, just that, I agree with Caleb about the grass clippings. I see that all over town, people blowing it into the street in different places. I understand what they're talking about. I see that a lot, so I wish people would quit doing that. So, also, I just wanna mention that everybody knows, you see how government works. Sometimes you win, sometimes you don't, but we get to make our discussion and our points gets across. And so that's how that works. But thank you very much.
Mr. Blair?
Yes, sir. The only thing I have is I want to be sure in the minutes that the reason I did vote against the last ordinance was because of this Exhibit A that is not accurate. Okay? And except for that, I would defer my time to Mr. Hawk.
Yes, Mr. Hall?
Mr. Hawk.
Okay. Well, it's been mentioned about government and how nice it is to have government. We have government at our house. And I asked my wife what she wanted for Mother's Day, 'cause I'm a pretty dutiful husband and considerate and all. And she says, "I am not your mother." So I guess I'm off the hook.
No, you're not. She's the mother of your children.
Yeah, so they should be getting their gifts.
Yes, you should.
Preferably something I
One
can
of them
use
calls
too.
me every year.
Yeah, I know.
You're not off the
Every
hook.
year.
Is
But
that
I
it?
did offer it, you know, so I'll probably do something nice for
It's
her.
best just to surprise her.
Yeah,
Don't discuss it with her, just give her something.
okay.
That's the best way.
I just don't wanna make a mistake.
Mr. Chrisman?
I'd like to thank everybody for coming, even though we only have 4 left. Anyway, thanks for coming.
They went home.
I think it cooled off too out there by then.
It was hot.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, I would thank everybody for coming. Todd, it's good to have you here. The others have been here many times. And I would just say that again, I am very aware of the problems that were brought up tonight, and I'm hoping, and not promising, but hoping that some of the things that were talked about tonight can be accomplished. But I'm not promising. Anyway, we need a motion to adjourn?
So
Motion
moved.
to adjourn.
I'll second it and let him have it, I'll take it second.
Everybody
Okay.
jumped on that.
Okay, roll call.
Johnson?
Yes.
Schultz?
Yes.
Blair?
Yes.
Chris Smith?
Yes.
Hawk?
Yes.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Lynch?
Yes. That's one thing, there's usually never a no vote on.
No, no.
To adjourn.